Lizette Mack. I am the program coordinator for Connect for Success. I'm so glad you made it today. Today we're going to talk about math anxiety. Who likes math? No one. He's like, sorry, no, don't like it. Well, I totally get that. And a lot of people don't care for math. But can you tell me why you don't care for it? Why don't you like it?
I'm not good at numbers.
Because you're not good at numbers.
And
Okay, let me ask you this.
the letters.
Okay, so two different things. So if I was your boss and you were working for me and you said you're not good at numbers and I had to pay you, would you know what those numbers were?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. Okay, so you would know what those numbers were if I had to pay you. But do you see that as different or the same? Aren't numbers numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. The only difference is the second thing you said was there's letters, which means there's algebra involved. So I totally get that. Okay. What about you?
Oh, I was just saying, like, I'd be forgetting steps and stuff.
Okay.
It's like my memory's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Memory too? Okay. So one way that, and let me just self-disclose. So most people think just because, I have an engineering degree, I must be like super smart and I can look at stuff really fast. No. I have to work. I had to study quite a bit. But it was what I wanted to go into because I could break barriers. Because you don't see very many African American women in engineering when I went through. And a majority of the time I was the only woman, the only African American woman, but I was not gonna let that stop me. But because I knew that once I had this done, they were gonna pay me what I was worth. So, and quite they did. I really enjoyed what I did. So, I've been at Mesa Community College for about 4 years. 2 of those years I was at Red Mountain. I also am a math instructor, in addition to being a program coordinator. And I've been teaching for about 15 years. However, I've been tutoring since I was in the 3rd grade. And I'm also a private tutor, so when people say I don't like math, I like to find out what part of it don't you like. So it just helps me to help you. And it's the same thing that I do when I'm in class, when I'm helping my students. I also teach GED. So my GED people, when they come over to MCC, I've had one student test directly into Math 150, and then another student test directly into Math 120. So when people say, oh my God, and they said the same thing, oh, I can't do math. If you can't do the math, why are you testing into these high level math? Which means you can do math. This is all about confidence. It really is. Whether it's math, biology, chemistry, whatever it is, it's all about confidence. So once whomever, your teacher, your parents, whatever, puts that confidence in you, then it doesn't matter the subject area. Is it going to be challenging? Absolutely. Never going to tell you everything is going to go your way the first time. However, if you are persistent, you have perseverance, then you will get the job done. So, do you guys know what you want to study?
Yeah.
What is that?
Electrical engineering.
Oh my God, it's double E day today. Okay, not that you don't have to be an engineer.
Music.
Okay.
And marketing.
Marketing. Okay. Question then. How do you get your music so that no one can copy your music?
Copyright?
How do you copyright?
That's
You.
what I don't know yet.
You.
Not sure.
Okay. So what you do is you can take your music, send it to yourself via the mail. There's a tracking. Now you have something with a date on it. So if anybody tried to take your stuff, you have documentation that you already have it. My poetry needs to be music. Don't forget ASCAP. Make sure you're very familiar with ASCAP. Not that we're talking about music and stuff, but I just try to be multi-talented in areas.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some math. Have you ever felt like this? Oh my God,
Yes.
I have a test. Just shoot me. Pull my hair out. All that. By the way, Mr. Double E, you're not seeing some of this little stuff, right? So, the reason I like this, my test is tomorrow, but the reason she's probably like that is because she's not studied, she's not practiced, and she's gonna cram. That would make me feel like that. And I have to be honest, I have felt like that before. Math anxiety equals test anxiety, parentheses, fear of numbers, had somebody said that, fear of the unknown. And if you just think about not even including math, if you think about something that you're not familiar with, doesn't it give you just a bit of some anxiety, like, I don't know. Think about first day you go to work, your first job, you get there, you're excited, but then you're like, what are they gonna show me? I'm not sure. It's that uneasy feeling. So it's just that you're just not familiar with it, okay? So, a little handout for you. Do you need a pen? Oh, you have, yep, you're good. All right. So I just want to see how much math anxiety you have. Is it little? Is it a lot? What is it? So take a moment to do that.
I heard something about it.
Challenging, but it's going to be worth it. Definitely. And of course, since we're talking about math, you get to do a little math. You got to add up your score at the bottom. What it is. No, she usually fills the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Yep, so just let it go.
Okay.
Okay, are you done? Almost done. So while he's finishing up, what was your score?
I got 30 to 30. Oh, I got 38.
38. Oh, no doubt. The thought of doing math still makes you uneasy. I'm familiar with that. Okay.
I got. Sure, I do have math.
Sure. So you were between 40 and 50.
Yeah.
Okay. I think half of the battle is just really recognizing that you have some kind of anxiety. And once you understand, okay, I have math anxiety. So then what do I need to do to overcome my math anxiety? So we're going to talk about that today. I did post up here some additional surveys. They're quite extensive. They ask many, many questions, and they will help you to see kind of exactly where you are. So here's my question. What is math anxiety? So Webster tells us it's a feeling of tension, apprehension, or fear that interferes with math performance. It's panic, it's helplessness. And everyone feels something different. When I had math anxiety, it wasn't helplessness for me. I was just a little bit panicked, but for me, I would study and I get ready to do my test, and it would look like this in my mind. Nothing. Are you familiar with that? Have you guys had that before? You study and you reviewed and you looked at your notes and okay, the teacher told me I need to pay attention to these problems and I did that, and then you sit down in your favorite seat. Hopefully nobody sits in your seat because that throws people off. I notice, like if somebody sits and you see the angry look, why are you in my seat? So hopefully you get to your favorite seat, you sit down, and you're kind of telling yourself, you're kind of hyping yourself up, okay, I got this, I can get a good grade. And then the teacher sits the paper down in front of you. And you're like, I don't know anything. You go blank. So good, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that used to happen to. So I had to figure out, how can I get beyond that? What can I do? You know, talk to my instructor, talk to maybe other people in the class that use different techniques to try to get through this math anxiety thing. So one of the things that I figured out with myself is, first of all, I can't have negative talk. I can't tell myself I don't know how to do this. You do know how to do it. You may not remember every single thing or steps, like Mo has said, but the most important thing is you gotta have confidence. But if you have confidence, then by the time your doubt gets in there, you're already done with your problem. Does that make sense? So if you're working through your problem, and honestly, you have to repeat. Practice. You have to practice. There's no way of getting around it. Think about math as a skill. Did you learn how to ride a bike? You did. So when you got on it for the very first time, you rode it all around the house and down the street and around the corner. The very first time, you never failed.
No, you fell.
Never failed. You never fell off your bike.
No.
The very first time.
No, I mean, most people do fall.
Yeah, okay. But is it, so you fall. Aren't you just gonna get back up and try it again until you can ride your bike continuously without falling? So think about math like that. It's not a spectator sport. You gotta get in the game, you gotta play, which means you have to study, you have to review, you have to take good notes. And I'm gonna give you some handouts that's gonna help with that up here as well as some resources that I have for you. So, do you remember third grade? It was so easy. We're just adding, subtracting, and maybe some multiplying. And then you're like, oh, math is hard. Then you get to the 10th grade. Then we have our letters in there that he was talking about. And then, oh wait, and then what? Graph. Then she's like, oh, I wish I was in the 3rd grade again. Do you see, no matter what grade you're in, it's always going to be challenging. No matter what. Not hard, but challenging. A challenge is good. Don't think of it as a negative thing that, it's going to prohibit you from moving forward. It's something that's going to make you stronger. So if you're presented with a challenge, you get through your challenge, you're not going to be the same person when you were here compared to when you're moved through your challenge. You're going to be different. So if this problem ever comes up again, aren't you confident that you can move through this challenge again? That's what challenges do. So you got to think about it a little bit differently. What are some of the symptoms of math anxiety? Well, some people get nausea, shortness of breath, sweating, heart palpitations, or go to the emergency room on the day that they have a final. This really happened in my 120 class. She called me from the hospital. Well, actually, she didn't, but the nurse did, to tell me that she was there and she couldn't take her final because she had a phobia attack, so she couldn't take it. increase in blood pressure, the psychological, memory loss, you forget, loss of self-confidence, negative talk. Math, you avoid it. If you could avoid taking math, people would do that. No, you couldn't, because you gotta take so much. Math avoidance and isolation. You begin to think that you're the only person that feels that way, but it's not true. So there are a lot of people who feel that way. This is why at MCC that we have so many programs here as far as like Math Foundation. There's tutoring for you. And I always like to tell students, make sure you are utilizing your instructors because we're here to help you if you're having any kind of problems. But we can't help you if we don't know that there's a problem. So utilize your resources. So I just did a little symptoms chart so that you can see kind of where you are. When you're confused, it leads to frustration, which leads to anger, which leads to ruin. When you're unsure, you're confused, inadequate, hopelessness. But adequate means you're anxious, embarrassed, and then there's panic. So sometimes we're trying to figure out, why do I feel this way? Well, this is one reason why. So I have a little YouTube video first.
Welcome to your first video in the Math Study Skills series, created by Jessica Bernards of Portland Community College and Mark Desmet of Cabrillo College. In these videos, we will talk about different study skills topics specifically related to math. First, let's start with the myths. I'm just not a math person. We hear this all the time. Actually, anyone can do math, and there is no such thing as being just a math person. Math takes time and effort. If you put the time and work in, you can succeed in math. If I don't know how to do something right away, I never will. This statement isn't true either. Again, math takes time and effort. If you don't know how to do a problem, try something out. This is what mathematicians do. Math takes time. You won't know what to do right away for every problem. It's all about being persistent. Another myth students think is that math is all about memorizing a bunch of formulas and rules. Yes, there are a lot of formulas and rules in math, but it isn't all about memorizing them. If you actually understand these rules and formulas, you won't have to memorize a thing. As you work through problems, ask yourself if you actually understand why you're doing what you're doing instead of just applying a set of memorized steps that you'll forget in a month. I'll never use this. True, you probably won't have to compute a logarithm in your future career, but you'll have to be able to recognize patterns and use logic to solve problems. This is what math is all about. Now let's talk about learning math. Unlike other subjects, math builds on what you've previously learned. Think about math as building a house. You can't just start with the roof. You have to have a strong foundation first before you can put up any walls, doors, siding, etc. How prepared you are for your current math class is affected by this foundation, which includes several factors. If you received a C in the previous math course, missed several classes, or have had one semester go by since your last math class, you probably will have some prerequisite gaps that will need to be filled in before you can succeed in your current one. Luckily, there are a ton of resources at your college that are available to help you with this. We will be talking about these resources in the next study skills video. One last thing to note about preparation is that your math placement test score plays a role in how prepared you are. If you are on the low end of the cutoff scores for a class, think about taking the previous class first. That way you can get a strong foundation. Math is not a spectator sport. Like athletes and musicians do, you have to practice math in order to be successful come game time, aka when you go to take your exam. Just because you watch NFL football every Sunday, know all of the plays, moves, and rules, doesn't mean you'll be able to show up and play a game well. Math is the same way. You can't just watch the teacher do math and expect to be able to fully understand it to perform well on the exam. You have to practice it yourself on your own. Some good habits to start now is to do math at least every other day. This includes doing homework, reviewing notes, going through exam reviews, and reading the book. Make it part of your regular schedule, just like a job, and actually stick to that schedule. The biggest mistake students make is waiting until last minute to do their homework and try to get it all done in one night. This won't work or help you actually retain any of the material. Your brain can only process so much at once. Speaking of homework, a good idea to do it is in the same environment you'll have to for exams. Whenever you're studying, keep your phone away, Facebook off, and the solutions manual closed. We'll talk more about this in the homework video. One other thing to note about math. Learning it is similar to learning a foreign language. You need to learn to speak math as a language so that you know how to interpret what the different symbols and formulas mean. One way to help with this is to create note cards with new formulas, definitions, and symbols learned in each class. Keep these on you and do a quick review of them whenever you have a chance. Many students go into their first college math class thinking it will be the same as it was in high school. However, it isn't. Some important things for you to know. College courses have less class time than in high school and cover twice as much material. This means college courses are much more fast-paced, and it's expected that you will do the work outside of the class. The responsibility for the learning is on you. Expect to spend 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour you're in class. In many classes, attendance is optional, but you should always go to class. Missing class means you'll miss important topics, and you are responsible for learning these on your own. A C is considered passing, a D is not. Therefore, you must have at least a C to move on to the next class. Don't expect your math teacher to let you do extra credit to get a higher grade, or to retake exams. Some general tips for your success. Your attitude is key. Keep a positive attitude throughout your math class. If you think you can't do it, you won't. But if you put in the hard work and think positive thoughts, you will be able to persevere. The first exam in every math class is usually the easiest since it covers prerequisite material. Don't think you won't need to study as much because of this. Study, study, study so you can ace that first exam and set yourself up for success. Come to class on time so that you don't miss important information at the beginning of class, and actually be prepared for your class. Have your math notebook, book, pencils, highlighters, and calculator all ready to go. Ask questions when you have them and get help right away. The last thing you want to do in a math class is fall behind. And most importantly, know that you can do this. Believe in yourself.
Okay. How was that? Anything true?
Yeah, some good points in there.
Good points.
I like the one that she said, spend 2-3 hours every hour.
Oh yeah. I actually here, for every 1 credit, you need to study 2 to 3 hours. So if you have a 3 credit class, how much is that? 6 to 9. So it just depends on what type of learner you are. And I tell people, I'm like, sometimes with math, it would take me, 2 to 3 times before I can get it. That means I have to practice and practice and practice and practice. So, and I always tell people, I'm like, look, I'm not afraid to tell you that. I'm not embarrassed by it because I picked a very challenging degree. Lots and lots of math. And Ryan, the guy you saw, he went to ASU. Well, they didn't have to take graduate level math. I had to take graduate level math. So it's building a house. It's foundation after foundation. And if you miss a hole, it's okay if you don't have every single little piece, but make sure you get enough information so that you can fill that hole, so you can have all the information that you need. Okay? What are some math myths? Well, you tell me. What's a math myth to you guys?
They said it.
Huh?
They already said it.
Oh no, I have some up there. What do you think? Math myth. She did say, math mind. That's what some people
are born.
Oh yeah. There's sometimes people even think a particular culture is brighter than the other culture, right? Okay. So men are better in math than women. That's one that's popular. There is the best way to do math problem. There are several ways to do math problems. I may learn it this way, you may learn it a different way, she may learn it a third way, but all the resulting ways should end up with the same answer. Yes, sir.
So what if your teacher requires you to do it in her own way, and then if you don't do it her way, you get it wrong even though you got the answer right?
Okay, so again, don't forget all teachers were students too.
Yeah.
And I did have some instructors that were like that as well. So it's a little more challenging because that method is not clicking with you.
Right.
So couple options. One, maybe go to the instructor's office hours and say, hey,
Oh, I did.
okay,
Yeah.
you did that, and
I mean, she just said she gave me 1 point. Okay, so there's a word problem,
okay,
and she wants to do a 4-step process
okay.
on the word problem.
Mm-hmm.
I just did it in my head. It was on the test. I just did it in my head and I wrote down the answer. But she wanted us to do the 4-step problem with the proportions.
Okay,
I don't know what it was.
ratios and proportions.
Yeah, it was for functions and stuff.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
functions, sorry. Chapter 7, intermediate algebra, math 120.
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but there were some word problems.
Okay.
It's 7.8 that had word problems.
So one of the reasons why, because I do say in my class, and I just put SAW on the board because students know what that means. That means show all work.
Right.
So in order that I know that you know what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you can adequately show me what you're doing. Now, not that we think that you're cheating off of somebody else's paper and
Right.
doing all of that, but we want to know because,
You have to define, she said you have to define the variable too.
okay,
Do you agree with that?
well, we have to see the problem.
But I'm saying it's obvious, why am I gonna write it down?
Well, here's the thing, this is what I tell my students. I tell them in my class, I said, explain it to me. I don't want you to write a thing, put your pencil down.
Okay.
Explain it to me in words. Because then, if you can explain it without touching a thing, and I can understand, then you have a good idea. But the more you practice something, the more you show your work, the better you get at whatever it is, whatever topic it is.
Right.
But it's twofold. It lets me know, one, there's some logic. You're thinking logically. There's some analytical skills. You can see this. You can visualize the problem. You can work through the problem. You haven't touched a thing. Now, I tell my students this. I said, okay, put everything down. We're going to visualize. So I'll give them a problem. Do you see it? And I'll ask them, do you see it? And people are like, yeah. Because it takes you a moment. Because now in your mind, you're thinking, okay, 2x plus 7 equals 10. Okay, I see it. Now solve it. If you know a two-step equation, you know immediately what you need to do, minus 7 on both sides, bring your 2x down. Then that, exactly. Okay, so with that in mind, she was ensuring that you know the logical, analytical process of it. You can adequately show your work. There's some calculation that went into it, and here is my answer. No doubt, you know how to solve that problem.
What I'm getting at is that math ain't even all about finding the right answer. And if you're gonna take off points, then it's more like showing you work, showing that you know how to do it.
Yeah, it's a combination of both.
I mean, I was thinking in my head
Okay.
all math is all about is get the right answer. That's it. You're good. But, you know,
Okay, so if it's word problems, right? Word problems, you have to read what it is, right? You have to disseminate how to take out the most important parts, right?
Yeah.
Have you did any kind of calculation or anything yet?
Yeah, I mean, I showed proportions and stuff.
Okay.
I didn't she wanted the 4-step process.
So,
variables
And sometimes you're going to run into that. Some instructors want you to follow a particular
right,
process.
right.
And so you just kind of have to submit to
Yeah.
their process. I'm
If you
not
know,
saying,
you're wrong.
and your answer is right, and the way you've done it is very good to you, and you're comfortable with that, and the way she does it could be a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
However, you always have to remember they're the authority in class, and so you always have to, like I said, submit to kind of, give them what they're asking for. And it's challenging sometimes. There's no wrong way. Now, I tell my students, I give them a couple of ways. You can do it this way, you can do it this way, or you can do it that way. Pick one. I had the opposite problem. They don't know which one to pick. I said, are you guys having a difficult time? Yeah. Do you want me to tell you? Yeah. They want me to tell them. Well, I don't want to tell you. I want you to make a selection on which one works best for you. Because some people like method 1, but some people like method 2. And to me, it doesn't matter as long as you show me all your work and the answer is correct. Just depends.
Yeah, I hear you.
And you're going to get a lot of that, by the way. Okay. Math is done by working intensely until the problem is solved. We had somebody in here, she told me she worked on one math problem for 4 hours. Please don't do that. You have to give your brain a break. It's just too much. So study for maybe an hour. Take a 15-minute break and then come back and study again. Just do it in pieces if you're that kind of person. An hour would not be enough for me. Like when I do my math, I need to do 2 hours minimum. After that, I got to do something else. And then I'll do English or electromagnetics or whatever it was. And then I come back to it. But my max was 2, but I had to learn that. 45, not enough. 3 hours, way too much. I couldn't do it. So you have to find your level, what's comfortable to you. And everybody is not the same, okay? Some people have math mind. Yep, she talked about that. There's magic to do math. No. You just got to do it. And you have to be confident in what you were doing. So some people think, okay, if I can just memorize everything. Really? You can't memorize every single step, every single formula. And I'm going to give you a formula sheet. And I want you to tell me if you remember every formula on there. It's too much. So if you have a good foundation, you're showing your steps, you can clearly explain to a peer or to your instructor how to do this problem, you have a good understanding on how to do your math. Okay? Overcoming math anxiety. Do it 2 to 4 hours a day. Get organized. Do you have a book specifically for math? Or do you just shove it in your backpack with all of the other stuff and then you open your backpack and you're just like, I know it's in here somewhere.
No.
Yeah, I bought the 70-page notebook.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't work, man. It was
Like the spiral one?
yeah, they were selling like 5 cents at Target.
Okay.
And they're like 70 pages, and like, you just run out real quick.
No, you need a 5
Yeah,
subject. Exactly, or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a binder?
Yeah.
Or you have a binder? Okay.
Yeah.
I've done both. I've had binders for separate classes. So if I had 4 classes, I probably have 4 binders, and I quickly learned that that's a whole bunch. And then you have a huge book, and then you have 2, 3 classes on the same day. Now you've got 3 books in there with 3 binders with all your stuff, and I'm like dragging that thing. It's too much. Then I made 1 big binder and had the separate tabs. You know what I'm talking about? You can put your tabs in, it's just like subjects. Then you can do that and put your filler paper or college rules, whichever one you want, and then keep it that way. However, what I learned is I must keep my math completely separate from everything. I have my binder, I have a spiral notebook. I kept them both. All my notes went in there. All my homework went into my binder. So if my teacher gave me a handout for homework to do, I would never write on my handout. I would rewrite the problems in my notebook, my binder, because if I ever needed to go back to remind myself how to do it, It's a blank sheet. So what happens when you see your work on the page and you're like, oh yeah, let me do number 2. And so you write it and now you know you're looking at the answer. Because your eyes automatically goes to the answer. So and then you begin to do, you're like, oh sweet, I know how to do it. No, you just saw the answer. Your answer was just on your sheet. No, don't do your work on your sheet. Do it in your notebook. Just rewrite each problem. Then you usually have a test every 3 to 4 weeks. Well, you gotta start reviewing for that. So when you get ready to review a week, 1 week, not 1 day before your test, a week before the test, pull your sheet out. Randomly pick 5 problems, any 5 problems. Put them on your paper. Do your work for each one. If you're able to get through all 5 of those problems with no hiccups, no problems, you know how to do it. But if you keep stopping and starting, there's something that you're missing. Does that make sense? I pulled a lot of trees, I'm sure I did. Because I had several pieces of paper and I would practice and practice and practice. So that's just one of many, many methods that you can do. My point is, you have to figure out which method will work best for you, okay? All right, utilize your resources. Don't be afraid to talk to your instructor. Go to the tutoring center, which I talked about. Attend a class. Falling behind creates more math anxiety. And let me give you a little caveat to that. When you begin to want to drop your class, sometimes that affects your financial aid. So, before you drop your class, make sure you talk to financial aid and see that it won't affect your financial aid, okay? All right. Number 5, resist negative talk. Don't tell yourself you can't do it because you will believe it. Try something different. Do the opposite. Tell yourself you can do it. It's confidence. And I know it kind of sounds kind of quirky, like, oh, confidence, I'm going to talk to myself. It really does work. I thought there was a fan like these people are crazy. I thought they were crazy. I'm just being honest. But then I noticed these people keep getting good grades. You know what I mean? So how do you talk to yourself? What do you say? Yeah. Let's write that down. So I want to know, what anybody who is successful, you want to know what they're doing. You want to mimic them because you want to be successful yourself. Okay? Start preparing early. Like I said, when you get ready to take a test, a week before. And please understand what I'm saying. Not, oh my God, I got to do every single problem. No. Pick 5 problems off your handout and then do those to make sure that you know what you're doing. Some instructors will give you a sheet to review. So just depends on your instructors. Take care of yourself, eating and sleeping, which is really good. Do the easiest problem first. Have you ever heard that? No? Okay, so when you do the easiest problem, it builds up your confidence. Well, think about it. If you, since we have just guys, do you guys play basketball? No. What, any particular post?
Yeah, I play shooting guard.
Shooting guard?
Yeah.
You just like it. You just like it. Okay. So I played basketball. I was center, of course. And so, remember when you went to practice and you had to do your drills? I hated suicides. You know what suicide is. Hated those suicides. And then you had to learn how to do your free throws, right? You know, you key up, right? Boom, you miss it. Okay, give me the ball back. You hit it, you do it again, you miss it. And the more you miss it, the more determined you get, right? Right? So what if we take it the opposite way? You key up, swish. Got it. Oh yeah, give me the ball. Boom, you hit it again. Oh yeah, man, I'm in my mojo. I got this thing going on. This is the same thing. It's the same thing. So when you get that first problem, you get it, and you're like, oh yeah. You get that next one, you're like, yeah. So then when you run into that most challenging problem, you got enough confidence in you that you're going to at least try to do the problem before you throw your hands up and concede and give up. That's why you should do the easiest one first. That makes sense? Okay.
Math and test anxiety. There are many causes for math and test anxiety. These include a bad experience in your past with math. Most students can pinpoint the first time they became anxious about mathematics to a specific situation. Usually, it was an experience in elementary, middle, or high school. Not enough study time. If you aren't as prepared as you should be for an exam, you will be anxious for it. This is why it's so important you manage your time wisely and study, study, study. Not feeling well prepared. If you've put in the time and studied correctly, go into the exam feeling confident, knowing that you've done the best you could do. Confidence is key. Thinking test scores will measure your intelligence or self-worth. This is not true. You're not stupid or worthless if you fail an exam. It just means you need to change up some of the habits you're doing and get some help from the instructor or a tutor. Reflect on what you need to do differently and take the necessary steps you need to help you succeed. Fear of the clock. Don't let the clock give you anxiety. You do need to manage your time while taking your exam, but don't let the time manage you. There are several common symptoms of math and test anxiety. They include panic, paranoia, nervousness, lack of confidence, your mind going blank, and hopelessness. Luckily, there are some things you can do to overcome math and test anxiety. The best way is to be prepared. Do all of your homework regularly, getting help on problems that you don't understand. Take good notes and make sure you actually review them on a regular basis, not just the night before the exam. Study. Don't just expect to show up to an exam and ace it. You actually need to review and practice the material. Follow the study tips from the How to Study for an Exam video. Form a study group. Working with others will help you gain confidence and make studying more fun. Create a study plan. For tips on how to create your study plan, refer back to the How to Study for an Exam video. And lastly, to be prepared, create a cheat sheet. As you're studying for your exam, have one page of paper that you write down things you want to make sure you remember for the exam. For example, if you often forget that when dividing fractions you multiply by the reciprocal, this should go on your cheat sheet. Any important formulas, processes, and definitions should go on there as well. Make sure it's no longer than one page though. Review this cheat sheet often the day before and the day of the exam. It should be the last thing you look at before getting your test. However, know that most likely you won't be able to use it while taking the test. A couple of things you can do before an exam to help you overcome math and test anxiety. In your study plan, start studying days before the exam. Cramming everything in one night will not work. The only thing you should be doing the night before, day of the test, is reviewing your cheat sheet. Don't cram the night before. Studies show this will not help you do well in the exam. It isn't enough time to learn all of the material, and you'll be in panic mode by that time. This helps bring up anxiety. Get a good night's sleep and eat a good breakfast. This will help make sure your brain is alert and you can stay focused on the exam. Get to class early. The last thing you want is stress that you're running late for an exam. Get there about 15 minutes early and review your cheat sheet as you wait.
And get your seat.
During the exam, there are several steps you can take. When you first get your exam, flip it over and write down any information in your head that you want to remember for the exam. Usually this is stuff on your cheat sheet. Next, write your name and then scan the exam. Answer the easiest questions first and save the harder ones for last. Read all directions carefully. You don't want to get marked down on a problem because you didn't follow all of the directions. If you go blank, skip the question and go on, but don't forget to go back to it. Put a mark by it to remind yourself you still need to complete that problem. Don't panic when students start handing in papers. There's no prize for being the first person done with an exam. In fact, usually the first people don't get the highest grades. Take your time and make sure you check all of your answers. It's okay to be the last person to hand in your test. If you start to panic, use relaxation techniques. Some relaxation techniques include deep breathing. Take 5 to 10 deep breaths, focusing on filling up your lungs as you inhale and slowly releasing the air out as you exhale. This helps get oxygen to your brain and for you to focus on something other than the exam. Other techniques include closing your eyes and thinking of a happy, relaxing place for a few minutes. This will help you suppress your adrenaline and calm your nerves. Stretch. This will help keep your blood flowing. Just make sure you don't distract others around you as you do it. Math and test anxiety. You can overcome this. You can do it.
Nice. So did she talk about anything that we've talked about before? Yeah. Okay. So the reason why I like to talk is because we have different types of learners. Some people love video. They like the video, they like it. Some people like to hear, like people are talking. So what I typically try to do is do both of those and then give you something tangible to hold on to, which is what's up here for you. Okay? All right, so what are our mathaways? Math can be a little challenging, but you have a victory. You can do it. And I hope you guys are recognizing that the one word that keeps coming up is confidence, confidence, confidence. It's all about the confidence. Okay? When presented with a new math topic and you don't understand it the first time, don't beat yourself up about it. You are unique. Everyone learns differently. When negative thoughts enter your mind, replace them with a positive affirmation. If you have a problem or concern with math, talk to your instructor immediately and or go to the tutoring center. Remember, you're not alone. You're not the only person. There's other people. So here's a proverb that I put together, I found actually. Tell me mathematics, and I will forget it. Show me mathematics, and I will remember it. Involve me, and I will understand it. And how I do that with my students is we talk about it. My students may make up the problem, but then they go to the whiteboard to do it. Because I want to see at that point in time, if you're doing a problem on the board, I want to know what part of the problem you're struggling with. And I can physically see that when you're at the board. Then I can come over, help you with that problem, and then when you leave, you know how that problem is no more. Because you usually do your math 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You can't call your instructor then. So, some additional resources. We have a counseling department that does help with math anxiety, or just anxiety period, okay? And then we have the drop-in math tutoring center, and you guys said you do know that we have a tutoring center here. And I was going to play that, but I want to give you these papers first. Okay, so can you help me pass these out? It's not like there's a lot of people in here. And then I'll just give up that one because I got to explain that a little bit. Okay, so Miss Emily is handing you out an affirmation, which I just talked about. And so an affirmation is just where you are saying positive things to yourself. And the one I like a lot on here is, I am good at math. I know people don't want to say math is fun. I'm good with that. That's okay. But hopefully you can find something on here that you like. The second one is what I referred to earlier when people try to remember everything. Did you see this formula sheet that I gave you? Oh, yeah. 2 pages back to back. So here are some formulas and some other properties that you may know. But on the back, this is commonly algebraic errors. So I like people to look at these because these are errors that people make a little constantly, okay? The third thing she handed out was a resource sheet. On this resource sheet, that's a lot to say, are math apps. There's some math anxiety books. because I have some people who like to read. Okay, that's fine. And here are some websites that you can go to. Question, did you know that you have 40 hours of free tutoring here at Mesa Community College? And where is it? Free. Oh, I shouldn't say it here at Mesa, but online. Online. It's the very last one called Smart Thinking. It's free. And it's just not math. There's that's exactly right. It's completely free that you can do that. So take advantage. So if you're in Calc 2, they have Calc 2 on there. You're in physics, physics. Spanish, because we looked, there's Spanish help on there. Everything is, it's a whole list of things. You have 40 free hours. You need to utilize that, okay? And not pay for it. It's free. If it's free, it's for me, okay? So, last one, maybe please send that to him, Victor. So getting started with math. So I didn't put this together, but I did find it, and I thought it was pretty good. Getting the most out of your math class. And so, of course, you hear be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. And as I talked about, take good notes. And then making the connection. And they talked about that in here too. Where that you want to make sure you understand what they're talking about. You're getting a good foundation. And you have a reference sheet, because I kind of gave you that. And just review, practice. Also, time management. If you've not taken the time management workshop and looked at that, it's so crucial because you will lose your time if you don't. Okay. So that concludes my math anxiety workshop. Do you have any questions for me? No? No questions? Okay, awesome. Well, tell me before you go, was there any one thing that stood out to you? Now we talked.
I don't know, just like the whole time thing, just 3 hours and just, cause me, like, here's my issue.
Okay.
I thought I would, like, I took a test last week,
Mhm.
it was for chapter 7, I thought I was gonna do good, and everything, I walked out of there confident, I walked in confident, walked out confident.
Okay.
I spent like 4 days before that test studying, at least 4 or 5 hours a day. I went to the Turner Library all by myself, studied,
Okay.
do what I had to do. I'll come back, my grade's a 55. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, I don't know.
It was like a blow to you.
It was a complete blow. Because, like, I mean, I've been putting all the effort in work.
Okay.
And, I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I try to blame the teacher because I try to say, you know, like, because the way she grades it, like I told you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, I don't know. There's got to be something I'm doing wrong.
Okay. I think that's step one. You're acknowledging that, okay, there's something that's not quite right.
Yeah.
So when you say you're studying for, 4 to 5 hours, how do you study? Where do you study?
Yeah, so she gave us a review sheet. And I did that like 4 or 5 times. So it's every problem. I went along to the library.
Okay.
Then I'd also go to the tutoring center. I'll do like the review test on
Mhm.
that. Go back to chapter.
Okay.
Did that too. Just I thought I had it.
Okay. Do you happen to have like the study solution manual with your book?
Yeah.
You do have that?
Entropy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
So do you do the work first and then check your answer, or do you do one problem? Oh, let me check, and then the other problem.
Well,
let me check.
if I get stuck, I check the answer.
Okay.
And I'll just redo it.
Okay.
See what I gotta do right. Or I'll just, if I'm into it, I'll just ask them.
Okay. What about, are you asking questions in class when you don't understand?
Sometimes I don't, because the thing is, in my class, like, nobody asks questions. Like, I'm the only person that ever asks a question. And, like, one other person. And, like, I don't know. I'm just, it's kind of weird sometimes when you're the only guy asking questions.
Okay. All right. Did you have something to add?
No, I was just gonna say the studying habits, like how are you maybe switching up your studying? Because I know with me, I took chemistry in college and the first exam I flunked, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And the professor was very dry. Sometimes it's their teaching style too. It's very dry and very boring and stuff like that. So that also will deplete you also. But for me, I tried to relate it to something that interests you. Obviously, you said you played basketball, and she made a great analogy before, of like when you get in the shot and building that confidence. So when you're doing your math, kind of think of it in terms of basketball. There's a mechanics to it. Like you had to. Obviously, when you first did it, you struggled. Like you couldn't figure it out. But when you kept practicing and practicing and practicing, you figured out your own style. Like every basketball player has their own style. That's how you recognize them. You know what I mean? Like Lamar Odom, or I don't know. I don't know too much about basketball, but or like LeBron James. Everybody talks about LeBron James, but like he has his own style that people recognize. So he figured out what works best for him when it comes to basketball. So think about that when you're studying. What can work best for you? Visual learner. Like sit down and actually think about yourself. I know it's hard to do that, but we don't think about ourselves.
You're right. I just do it. I don't
Yeah,
really
you
think
just
about
do
how.
it because you're conditioned to do it, but think
Mhm.
about you for a second. Like take those 10 minutes or out of that 4 hours that you're sitting, okay, well what's gonna work for me? You know, like you might feel confident in doing it, but when you actually get into the text, you're gonna draw a blank.
Right.
So maybe sit down and say, well, what works best for me? Am I a visual learner? Am I going to, what can I do? Go on YouTube, look up different math techniques, or draw it out in your mind. Think of it in basketball terms or something like that. So one way it's gonna help you to retain the information, and then you'll see like it'll come to you.
And also to add to that, what time of day are you studying? Are you super, super tired? Is it in the morning? Is it late at night? So, I mean, you need to look at, did you eat? Because you need to
brain.
fuel. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely a lot of factors. Yeah, usually it's just like at night when I get off of work.
Mhm. Oh, you're like everybody else who works. Go to school, then go to work, and then you gotta go home and do homework. And then you're up to like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to get
Brain's
stuff done.
dead.
Yeah, crazy. Did you have any questions?
No.
So, which math class are you in? 91. Okay. Okay. So you're rebuilding right now, which is good. I mean, it's a great thing. So definitely keep, doing that. And I hope with these handouts that, that I gave you guys, that this will work for you. Okay?
Yeah, I got a little more knowledge.
Perfect. Yay, I did good.
You can use it in the music business.
Math is in music. You talk about scores and you talk about, oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
I used to be in the studio. I do miss it though. All right, guys. Thank you so much. It's good to meet you.
Our teacher said there's like repetitive.
Good, your teacher.
Thank you.
I wish you the best, seriously.
All right, thank you.
Put your teacher's name next to your name.
Okay.
And then that way I can then send her an email.
Alright.
Oh, you got it.
Should I just put in my student ID area?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then where it says alternative phone,
Uh-huh.
put your teacher's